time of the student's presentation, because sometimes they add extra slides, but they copy the 20. But this is only if you're like very serious about the specific time. I normally am, because what I understand myself to be teaching is attention to detail for them. And to me, this is all part of teaching them with academic writing to use a specific style. They have to be very attentive to detail. You don't like create your own element of the style within an academic paper. It would never be published. In the same way that I want them to be very conscientious about how they're putting together the presentations. Using the back of the rubric for language notes, memorizing the rubric, especially if the students are creating it, then you really have to like think about it. Use a video to record the presentations. I always do that anyway, just because I want to make sure that I'm as unbiased as possible or uninfluenced as possible. If I'm having a bad day, I know that something will happen with the rubrics, so that's why I try to record them, because I want to make sure that my bad day didn't impact them, right? Use Present Me also. Students could sign up for one free presentation, and basically what would happen is the presentation loads on the screen. So like this half of the screen is the student's head, and this half of the screen is the presentation. And then the student can be talking, and so you see the student while the presentation is going through. That's what Present Me does. Also, we said VoiceThread. Any other websites that you would recommend for uploading presentations so that all could watch and comment on them?
Video or Vimeo, something like this. There is another channel for videos.
Vimeo?
It seems to me, yeah.
Okay, Vimeo, great. Is that it? Okay. So the other idea is, if you did need to grade them live, I might have them give me the specific drafts of what they're going to say ahead of time. And so that way I'm familiar already, so I can enjoy the presentation, but I can also grade at the same time. Okay, so those are our tips. This is Ruby Star. So this was one of the resources that I told you at the beginning. Probably many of you already know of this resource. But it's rubystar.for-teachers.org. And it is sponsored by the Bureau of Education, the U.S. Bureau of Education. And you can register from anywhere in the world. You just have to add your, well, obviously passport. But when you actually go to register, you'll have to give your zip code. It doesn't matter that you don't live in the U.S. It's still fine. If for some reason it's a problem, you can use like 999999 for a zip code. Okay, so basically what you do when you go onto, you have rubrics that show up. There's wide variety. I didn't put them all, but there's a wide variety. So if any of you are also teaching math, for example, they have math rubrics. Mm-hmm. They have speaking rubrics. They have, so that would be presentation rubrics. They have writing rubrics, loads and loads and loads of different writing, narrative writing, essay writing, etc., etc. So there's a lot on here. So the resources that I used for this presentation, but also to familiarize myself with Pechakucha in general, is pechakucha.org. The Ruby Star for Teachers, which is the one that you just looked at. And this is a wonderful blog on putting together a Pechakucha and everything that you can do with a Pechakucha. I actually felt like this blog was better than the pechakucha.org website. Because the pechakucha.org website, you can go and you can preview some Pechakuchas. What's nice about it is there's a kids corner. And so you could actually show Pechakuchas to your students from other kids around the world speaking in English. And that might be interesting to see if it motivates them or not. But this one basically talks about what it is, how to set it up, some ideas for how to think of metaphors, how to choose pictures, stuff like that. So I found that really helpful. This one, not so much. It just shows you like everywhere in the world where Pechakucha nights are. So for example, there are Pechakucha nights here in Kiev, there are Pechakucha nights in Lviv, and several other places. Okay. All right, so that's the end.
Thank
Yay! And we're good. So we're not exactly 20 minutes early, but Rizana has enough time to set up. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
A general question.
Here and then there. Yes.
Speaking about the rubric, I recently took an online course in Coursera, which is shaping the way we teach English, and they do use rubric to assess each other's lesson plans.
Yeah.
So they do offer such tables, but when you come to the assessment, it is just the choices that you make that click. So the rubrics are transferred to the online form where you just click, it is done fast. You all the time have those criteria there.
That's awesome.
And it turns this hard work into
That's awesome.
It would be good if someone found such a source to
Yeah, that's great. Does everyone know what Coursera is?
What?
Coursera. Coursera is extraordinary, and I really would encourage you to join some classes. The class I'm taking this summer is a psychology course. So this is how we spell it. And then so these are massive online courses. Yeah. And what they are is they are sponsored by universities from all over the world. You complete the coursework and you will receive a certificate for free online. If you pay, then they will actually send it to you. So these two are wonderful. edX recently, the State Department has been working with edX, and they've started offering some courses on things like writing, and the one that Yaroslava just mentioned on teaching.
Shaping the way.
Yes, exactly, shaping the way. But edX is not my favorite, and the reason only because those are the only ones for teachers. It was created by Harvard and MIT, and so the majority of the content I feel on edX, at least it has been all stuff for like computer engineers, engineering, like quantum, whatever, right? So that's wonderful. I really appreciate that people want classes like that, but that's not what I need personally for my professional development. I found that Coursera has a lot of humanities classes. So there's a lot that we can look at for professional development. So some of the one that I want to encourage you, if you're interested at all in psychology, there's one called social psychology. And as a teacher, I think it's important to take this class because it's important to understand what's going on in the classroom on a psychological level. So social psychology, yeah, that's right, wow. And the teacher is Dr. Scott Close. I'm not sure that name is spelled correctly. But when you go to Coursera, you will find that there's a huge bar on the side, and you can look for courses in English, and then you can go down and look for courses in education. And then they have a ton of teacher training stuff. One of my, this was my favorite course. Some of my runners-up there was one on, it was called Accountable Talk, and it was how to stimulate discussions in the classroom through the way that you're asking questions and holding students accountable for the responses. It was really interesting. I liked that. Another one that I really liked was using technology for grades K through 12. There was a ton of information about how we could use iPods, iPads, everything. And it was very up to date. So the only downside for me is because these are massive online courses, it's hard to like interact. Sometimes you're responding to people, but no one ever responds to you. So one of the things that you want to think about if you want to do one of these courses is, if you're exchanging numbers or emails with people in this room and you decide to take a course together, you can have discussions about your understanding of the material, and that will make it more meaningful. So that's for me, this is one of the biggest issues with the MOOCs, is that it's hard to make sure everybody is involved. And so you have to find ways to do that yourself. But I highly recommend these. The other thing, talking about stress, is TED. We all know TED.
Yeah.
There's a I think it's called Why Stress is Good. It's either good or helpful. So I would recommend Googling this and finding this TED Talk and watching it, because it actually shares with us that stress can help heal our heart, because there's some kind of a hormone that's released when we're feeling stress that actually comes to the heart and has healing properties. So it's interesting. I always thought stress was negative, that it ages you, it does all kinds of crazy stuff. But watch this TED Talk, it might change your mind.